the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in a super lightweight special attraction for the WBC Diamond Belt. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, it's showtime! Introducing to you first on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing brown trunks, fighting out of Moreno Valley by way of Oxnard, California. He weighed in at 139.5 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign to the ring with a record of 36 wins, no losses, 30 big wins coming by way of knockout. A veteran of 5 world title bouts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 3-division world champion and the current WBC lightweight champion of the world, the undefeated Mikey Garcia. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing red and green trunks with white trim, and fighting out of Cincinnati, Ohio. He weighed in at a trim and ready 138.75 pounds. His record stands at 33 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest, with 24 wins coming by way of knockout. A young veteran of 9 world title appearances. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former 4-weight division champion of the world, introducing Adrien the Problem Broner. Once again, a referee in charge. Now to give instructions, Harvey Dock.
Boxes. Here we go. Here we go, champ. Both chunks are good. Guys, we went over the instructions earlier. Remember, obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck.
Harvey Dock is the referee, while the Broner who cried wolf with perpetual problems outside the ring, the can man, he can show us he's still hungry like a wolf with a motivated performance in this quintessential crossroads bout for Mikey Garcia. Well, this is his 10th consecutive opponent who held or fought for a title. He says all he wants are the biggest fights possible. It doesn't get bigger than this for these 2 warriors. Referee Harvey Dock calls for the bell. Round 1 underway. Mikey Garcia in the brown and tan trunks, while Adrien Broner's in the red, green, and white.
Both these fighters average about the exact same number of punches, 42 punches per round. People believe, and Paulie made the point, that the onus may be on Garcia to up his volume a bit. We'll see.
Man, I'm excited. I'm like a fan right now. These guys are both such good fighters. This is a great fight.
Many pundits believe Broner's best victory was that razor-thin split decision win over you, Paulie, here at Barclays. And when you look back, and we talked about Mikey Garcia's best path to victory, a lot of people feel that this is going to be a bout that's going to take a few rounds to marinate.
Yeah, and I think even several adjustments are going to have to be made by both guys. You know, it's going to marinate and it's going to re-marinate. Nice check hook by Broner. Yeah,
counter check hook there by AB, who says he's now about boxing, not about billions. And again, this is a recording out tonight, an opportunity for him to show that he is serious against a guy that, well, represents a unique challenge in front of him in Mikey Garcia, who is yet to be defeated.
We're seeing more movement from Broner. Broner is normally a pretty stationary fighter in the pocket for the most part. And a lot more movement tonight.
The fans are restless, but Paulie, these, you know, if they're educated fans, they should know what they're...
I want to get back to Al's point. Al makes a great point, but I think it's all has to do with the diet of Broner. You know what I mean? He's gotten his weight down earlier in camp, and you feel lighter, you feel a little bit more nimble, a bit more in motion, you know? So let's see how this plays out. You know, he looks very athletic right now. Mikey's staying very patient. Also, I want to point out, he's got the Mexican colors on. He took a page out of Floyd Mayweather's book against Oscar De La Hoya.
True.
Broner has the Mexican colors on.
Yeah, the night that Mayweather did morph into money in. Garcia opening up on Broner with the right hand and the left. Under a minute left in the first round.
The right hand is the punch that most often is landed against Broner.
Both proficient counter punchers. Broner wanting to establish the jab.
And that's the thing, how will Mikey's power translate at this weight? Broner just took a clean right hand. Took it pretty well so far.
Broner's trials and tribulations have been well documented, but Al's an amateur. He had over 300 victories and a naturally gifted fighter, but right now in tough as Garcia goes to the body with the left hook.
And Garcia's not primarily a body puncher, but he said, if I see the chance for that left hook downstairs, I'll throw it, and that was a good one.
Well, he saw the welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. is in attendance. He says, hey, I want to show you my body work as well. Errol Spence, one of the best body punchers in the sport right now.
Both two different styles, but high skills.
We'll take a look at the keys to victory for these two fighters, and we'll start with Adrien Broner. Sometimes he lets his jab languish out there, and if he does it tonight, he'll get it with a big right hand, and he took one of them already. Now, he's probably the physically stronger of the two fighters. He needs to use that tonight. And though Garcia gets hit more often with right hands, I think Broner's left hook is his most powerful punch. He landed one in round one. As for Mikey Garcia, the fighters who have beaten Broner have been busy. Garcia needs to step it up. Garcia does not attack the body much, but he can get down there, and he needs to do it. And opponents have been able to land the right hand against Broner when they're the same height. Garcia is almost his same height.
The bell in round two. Mauro Ranallo, Al Bernstein, Paulie Malignaggi, Jim Gray, Brian Custer, and the Showtime Championship Boxing crew here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. This is scheduled for 12 rounds in the 140-pound division. Adrien Broner undefeated at 140 or less in his career. Mikey Garcia came in tonight the most he has weighed in his career. The official weigh-in just under 140 pounds.
Yeah, he was in 138 against Rojas. You know, we saw for a moment Adrien Broner get caught on the ropes. In both of his losses against Sean Porter and Marcos Maidana, he spent a lot of time on the ropes. Hasn't spent much time so far on the ropes.
Well, he said his back was against the wall going into this fight, and it would behoove him not to have his back against the ropes for a long period of time, although he looks to be baiting Garcia.
You know, I want to point out, Broner's using his jab effectively at times, but it's not putting Garcia out of position. You know, Broner's trying to use a nice snappy jab. It's good, but look at Garcia's position. He never loses position, and that puts that mental pressure on Broner, keeps Broner forced to move left or to his right.
There was an instance where Broner before would have been caught in that corner, and he didn't get caught in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like Broner's forced to move here. I know he's got these nimble legs and movement, but it's almost like he's forced to move because none of the punches are putting Garcia out of position.
Yeah, but we've also...
you've got to make the effort yourself and step out of range yourself. Mikey's going to keep closing the distance.
We've seen Broner become more and more flat-footed as the fights unfold in the past, and in fact, Mikey Garcia believes that he was the favorite in this fight because of Broner's inconsistent performances, including in his last outing, a hotly contested split decision over Adrien Granados. Coming up on the final 60 seconds of the second round.
That's where Garcia cut the ring off and pushed him into a position where he could land punches. The technique of Mike Garcia is just excellent.
Yeah, he's fundamentally perfect.
Yeah.
He's like a textbook boxer. Broner uses more of his athleticism.
Yes.
Doesn't do everything by the book. He's tremendous athleticism. Great jab by Mikey.
Great jab. Popping Broner's head back like the proverbial Pez dispenser. And for Broner, proving to be a methodical mercenary, a guy who likes to build tension like a Christopher Nolan film before dropping those Dunkirk-like bombs on his opponents. The question is, can he carry his power to 140?
Round two has been an important round for Garcia. He has gained some control here.
Goes to the body with the right hand, and that elicits a verbal response from Broner.
The thing is, Mikey's offense hands is so short, even when he misses, it's not that easy to counter it because the opening is so tiny.
Again, things still just percolating in this battle between quintessential counter punchers, and yet Garcia getting busy. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, Mo, thank you very much. I'm here with Errol Spence, the 147-pound champion, IBF. You beat Kell Brook. How you wearing that belt these days? Has it been different for you to be back?
It's been a little bit different, but I'm not going to get content. I have 3 more belts out there to capture.
And what are you going to do next? Would you like to fight before the end of the year?
I'd like to fight in Dallas, but if not, then hopefully I come back at the Barclays Center or something like that.
Let's see what you think about what you're seeing here right now with Broner and Mikey Garcia.
It's a tactical fight. I mean, it's two top guys fighting at the highest level, and Adrian's boxing smart right now, and Mikey Garcia is adding on the pressure.
All right, Mo, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Jim. A tremendous victory over Kell Brook to become welterweight champion. Look forward to seeing Errol Spence Jr. back in the ring. And guys, as we begin round 3, it is a tactical affair as expected early going.
Garcia's thrown 58 punches to 48 for Broner. That's not up to the normal average of that weight division, but they're both landing at a pretty good effect, although Garcia with an edge in this fight.
Nice lead hook by Broner there.
Yeah, Broner consistently produces painfully slow starts, but then statistically explosive finishes. And for Garcia, similar fashion, although he flipped the script in his last fight against the previously unbeaten Dejan Zlaticanin, as he ethered him in the 3rd round, and Broner really working that jab.
Yeah, and in round 2, Garcia landed 11 of 27 jabs and 19 punches overall, according to show stats. It was a good round for him.
Garcia with the edge and the power punches as Broner utilizing lateral movement.
Broner at the end of the last round turned back to his corner as he walked back, and you could read his lips. He says, I got him, I got him. I don't know if that meant he saw something in the style or was going to be able to start timing him. So I'm very curious to see how this round goes for Broner, just to see exactly what he might have said he saw.
Takes those early rounds, acquires the data, and then puts in the work. And Adrien Broner is a much stronger second-half fighter than first-half, Al.
Yeah, for the most part, though, in his fight with Paulie, he faded in some of those rounds that were early, later on. But, yeah, he knocked down Porter. He did well against Maidana, and he just took a big left hook from Garcia.
Another left hook by Garcia.
And that's the positioning of Mike Garcia. You see how Broner threw the jab to the body, and Garcia's positioning did not change, so he was able to jump right back at him and land that shot.
Both fighters have been down twice in their respective careers. Broner went down twice against Marcos Maidana, showed a lot of heart in staying in that fight. Of course, Maidana was trained by Mikey Garcia's brother Robert, and Maidana told Garcia that Broner was the strongest fighter he'd ever faced.
You know, Garcia is cutting the ring off beautifully now on Broner, and that's a big factor. And pushing him now against ropes more often.
Right hand through the guard, left hook to the body. Surgical precision by Mikey Garcia.
And unlike other fighters, Garcia will not put himself in a position to be countered by Broner.
Short left hand scores for Garcia, counter right from Broner.
Yeah, his balance is so great that even when he misses, there's not a lot of opening there because his positioning is so perfect.
Curling right hand over through the guard, behind the guard by Garcia, then the jab through the Broner guard with the 4th round straight ahead.
Garcia has both a good straight right hand and a good hook. Counter left hook as Broner got off balance and out of position.
You see the positioning of Mikey. He didn't lose positioning on that jab to the body.
And then Broner pushed against the ropes, and Garcia throwing combinations, which is what you have to do against Broner when he's on the ropes. And you know, he's not a body puncher, Garcia. Doesn't like to attack the body, but it was an important element of what he did here.
Look at the key positioning again by Garcia. He doesn't get too close to smother himself.
Yes.
He knows he's got Broner against the ropes, maintains the proper punch distance so he can get leverage on the shots. Yes, Broner blocked a lot of them, but he got the leverage.
Round 4 since rising from lightweight in June of 2013. Adrien Broner has fought at 140 or less 3 times in 9 bouts. He's won all 3. The last time he made 140 was in 2015 when he beat Habib Alekverdiev to become a 4-division champ.
And now we see the Adrien Broner that standing in the pocket, which we've seen more often in life. And let's see how this goes.
I think he's going to have to start backing Mikey up a little bit to have success. I mean, Mikey, when he gets on that front foot, gets a lot of momentum. And Broner, for the illusion of a boxer that he gives, does not fight well when you back him up.
Absolutely. And you know it better than anyone because you're in the ring with him.
Lead left hand, nice right hand over the top by Garcia. Broner attacking the body with the jab.
Oh, nice counter right. Broner's got to do a little bit more of that. He's got to start landing some counters. You got to put some doubt in Garcia's offense because right now Garcia has so much confidence in his offense because even when he misses, he's not paying. So at worst, he either lands or he misses. But if he starts paying, it'll make him second guess. If he's not paying, well, then he's going to keep having the confidence to throw his shots he wants to.
And with Broner standing right there, it's going to make for an interesting fight for all of us.
That's for sure. In space for Mikey Garcia. Left hand connects.
And remember Broner, in terms of his chin, you know, he's been in with 147 pounders and not been knocked out. He was down, of course, against Maidana, and hurt by Porter, but not knocked out.
There's only 2 losses coming at 147.
I'd say by cutting the ring off, Mikey is forcing Broner to fight when he doesn't want to fight. This is what I mentioned at the beginning of when they were doing the walkouts, right? It's forcing him to fight doesn't necessarily mean throwing punches or whatnot. It's giving the illusion that you're always under duress. By putting this cutting off the ring and mental pressure, you're putting him under the illusion that he's got to fight you off constantly, even when he doesn't.
Under a minute left here in the 4th round. Boxing at Barclays Arena in Brooklyn always brings out the big stars in entertainment and in boxing as Garcia working Broner along the ropes.
And I'll tell you, the body work by Garcia is very good. And again, he told us in the meeting, I'm not normally a body puncher, but I will throw some more in this fight.
1-2 combination by Broner. Final 30 seconds of the 4th. Garcia continues to walk down Broner, cutting the ring off. Dexterously left hook to the body. Right uppercut and a double jab by Garcia. Skip jab, just missed with a sweeping right. Triple left hand, right hand. Garcia has Broner pinned in the corner, lands a left to the body. Broner fighting his way out. So again, always a litany of stars in attendance here at Barclays. Former welterweight champion Floyd Mayweather's final opponent before Mayweather's retirement for 2 years. That's Adrien Broner in attendance. Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate, the former middleweight champion, enjoying the proceedings. Hey, Sean Porter always makes it a point of showing up live. Former welterweight champion, he and Keith Thurman really tore the house down here at Barclays. Errol Spence Jr., undefeated welterweight champ, wants to fight in his hometown of Dallas. There's Tiffany Haddish, the breakout star of Girls Night. I mean, the movie is hilarious, and Tiffany Haddish, a super bright career. 2 of my favorite comedians. Listen to the crowd: Dave Chappelle, Amy Schumer, and of course the first legend of boxing, our dear friend Rosie Perez. Fifth round underway here, scheduled for 12. In the 140-pound division, Mikey Garcia, current lightweight champion, moving up in weight. Adrien Broner coming down to what many pundits believe is his best weight class, 140 pounds. He actually weighed less than Garcia at the official weight.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, in this fight, Garcia's throwing more punches. He is landing more punches. This may come down to whether Broner's power can make a difference in those later rounds. He's had late round knockouts that you referred to. We know he put Porter down in the last round. He's going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat, I think, to try and stop the Garcia Express.
Both trying to establish the jab. Any patterns you're seeing developing, Paulie, that give you concern when it comes to AB, Adrien Broner?
Well, you know, know, Mikey's just being more consistent. Maybe he lands the occasional right hand, or he landed a hook here and there, but it's just one at a time, and there's no follow-up because Mikey doesn't lose positioning, and he gets right back on the horse doing stuff like this, and then he gets AB on the defensive again. So the consistency is with Mikey, and if you have the consistency against Broner,
counter left hand by Broner,
you're going to win the rounds.
Garcia opening up the guard with the 1-2. Coming up on the final 90 seconds of the 5th round, Garcia with the higher punch output. And again scores with a 1-2.
Watch how often Mikey is first, almost every time. And here and there, you see AB's first, like right there.
Nice counter left hand by Broner.
But for the most part, Mikey is first.
And this has been the bugaboo for Adrien Broner. He, even against a fighter who normally averages exactly the same number of punches thrown, he's still being out-punched per number.
And in this round, beginning to be a little more flat-footed here with a minute left in the 5th.
Yeah, it has been for a couple rounds.
He's talking.
Well.
Nice left hook behind the guard by Broner, lands another left hand. Counter jab by Garcia. Slipping away. A lot of pot shots from Broner. Garcia trying to put combinations together. There goes to the body with a right hand and a jab upstairs.
And again, the consistency, combinations by Mikey Garcia, as opposed to when it's Broner, it's maybe one at a time. Yeah. If he throws a combination, it doesn't all land.
Left hook behind the guard, then the jab, double jab, and a right hand by Garcia, who continues to pick apart Adrien Broner here. Down the stretch in the 5th, left hand to the body by Garcia.
Don't let him steal the rounds. Don't let him steal the rounds. You're doing good. He tried to beat you in the last round, but you took it over. Just get a little more busy. And keep him with the jab. We keep the jab working. He does that 1-2 and then he tries to cover up. So just make sure.
Coming up on round number 6 here at Barclays in Brooklyn, Adrien Broner very cognizant of the fact that many people believe his story could be called the Broner who cried wolf, but he told us that it's now all about action. It's time to just start showing it and showing action. Well, he needs an uptick in the action department now.
He does, and in the last round, Garcia, according to show stats, threw the most punches he's thrown in this fight, 63, and landed the most, 25. Broner only threw 34 punches.
And I'll tell you, part of the reason for that was because Broner's getting more and more flat-footed. He's actually staying more in Mikey's range. He's making more of an effort to try to win the fight. He's realizing he needs an adjustment, but now let's see if he's able to be successful here at this range if he's throwing shots.
You are correct, sir. That was my best Ed McMahon impression.
Google him, kids.
Exactly. I dated myself.
Mikey Garcia pawing at Adrien Broner. First with the left hook and then again the guard. Through the guard with the left. The jab effective for Mikey Garcia.
Garcia's also doing a pretty good job of feinting. Broner is a pretty good feinter, but Garcia's feinted very well to get his punches off.
And the fundamental skills of Garcia, you know, he's never out of position. He understands positioning very well. He understands the hand positioning very well, feet positioning. He knows where to put you, and he knows when to let go of the shots and when not to let go of the shots. Very intelligent fighter. Doesn't give you the razzmatazz of a Broner, but a very, very quality fighter.
Garcia's been down twice before to men at lower weights. Broner was quick to point that out, but can Broner get off power shots to do that himself? We'll see.
Now Broner back on his bicycle. But Garcia squares him up on the ropes, attacks the body with the right hand. Final minute of the 6th. Again, left hook to the body by Garcia. That patented Mexican calling card. And remember, Maidana using that jab to the body that he turned into a left hook upstairs and drop rope.
Something that I talked about a couple of rounds ago. Broner doesn't start countering this. You're giving Garcia no reason to be leery of throwing these kind of shots. Broner needs to start countering some of these shots. He's just getting in the high guard, and it's Mikey's able to tee off. Another good body shot by Mikey. Broner will land here and there, and he'll land some eye-catching shots, but they're just few and far between what Mikey is doing.
And roll and come back up and punch it. Let's go, man. Come on, man. You acting like, hey, you the bigger man. Let's go, man.
Smarter with these, bro.
Man, come on, man. Let's go.
These put you in range to get off, and these get you out of range.
Twin, you gotta go, man. You say you want this motherfucker, man. Let's go, man. Come on. Man up, man. Man up.
Second half of this 140-pound affair scheduled for 12 rounds. Really a legacy fight, a career-defining fight for both Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia. Garcia fainting. All right, at the halfway point of this 12-round fight, let's bring in Showtime's unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood.
Well, Mo, Broner may have won the first round. I didn't give it to him. The clean, effective punches, the power shots have almost all been landed by Mikey Garcia. After that first round, a very easy fight for me to score. 6 rounds to zip for Mikey Garcia.
So Steve Farhood has it a whitewash on his unofficial scorecard. Talk about adjustments that need to be made for Adrien Broner in the second half of the fight, Paulie.
Well, Mo, he's going to have to start taking some chances. He's going to have to start trying to punch in between Mikey Garcia. And why is that a big chance? Because Mikey can punch. So you might try to punch in between him and get caught with a shot in between. You're trying to punch in between him. But it's the only way to try to change the tide here. You start to punch in between Mikey. You create that on his offense. Once you create that on his offense, you can start walking him down and taking it to him, being first yourself. You got to take some chances, though, to do that. And right now, Broner is kind of in that pensive mode where he's trying to decide if he is going to do that or not.
Broner has 4 of his knockout wins in the second half of fights. Garcia putting on the pressure here with 1 minute left in the 7th. Do you expect him to pick up the punch output, Al, here in the later rounds?
Yeah, I think probably we'll see more. I agree.
We're doing it on cue.
Yes, he is.
Cuffing right hand by Garcia, chopping right by Broner as they come to close quarters. Again, Garcia busy just trying to establish the jab, stay at distance, and then come in with the left hook.
I think Broner needs to walk Mikey down. I think he's got to make it a body-to-body type of fight like he did with DeMarco. Put that shoulder in the face and kind of roll on the inside and counter him, a la James Toney type of stuff, you know? That's how he destroyed DeMarco. I think that's the only way to try to change the momentum of this. But of course, it takes some risk because Mikey can punch, and you'll be going to the power.
Really good fighting like the big man here in this fight thus far, and another good combination end around by Garcia.
Too consistent so far.
One of the keys to victory, we said at the beginning, was a little more volume for Mikey Garcia. Well, guess what? He has thrown almost 130 punches more than Broner in this fight. And more importantly, it's where he selected them, throwing combinations that Paulie has pointed out. So when he does up uptick the volume. It's combinations like this, especially when he gets Broner on the ropes. So Mikey Garcia does nothing to excess, but he knew a slight uptick in volume would help him, especially in combinations, and he's done it.
Good round, good round. And just keep the body punches are really working well.
Adrien Broner bolted from the distractions of his hometown of Cincinnati in his regular training city of Washington, D.C. and went back to Colorado Springs, Colorado. Sequestered himself there, just focused on getting in the best shape possible, focused on being all about boxing. One wonders, though, Al, with everything that's happened to him outside of the ring, if time is catching up with him in a variety of ways.
Well, you know, he's a fighter that has suffered from lack of volume in fights. He has lost his two major fights against major opponents, you know, Maidana and Porter. He needed an important win. Now, that's important, the record, as we go past these rounds. But more importantly, here's for Broner. He has some power in later rounds, knocking out Alex Verdiev and Ashley Theophane and hurting Porter. So
look at Mikey walking him down with his hands down, daring him to throw some shots. I don't want to take credit away from Mikey. I'm sorry. I think Broner came ready to fight tonight. Broner seemed ready all week. He seemed ready at the weigh-in. Broner looks sharp. He's just not consistent, but he looks sharp. I'm not going to take away credit from what Mikey Garcia is doing here. I think Broner is a quality fighter. I think Broner is a quality fighter tonight. He's got such a higher quality fighter in front of him that it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Tagging Broner with the right hand. Garcia said that even Broner at his best, Garcia feels he's a complete level above him.
This is a different Mikey Garcia. This is one that is really attacking with abandon.
Misses with the right uppercut. And Broner continues to fire away verbal salvos, but not punching. Double jab in the right hand. Said that it was time to start putting his hands where his mouth is and put his hands where his opponent's mouth is. Under a minute left in the 8th.
And those body shots are amazing by Garcia. This is one of the best performances Garcia's ever had, and he's had some good ones as a pro.
Yeah, and it's because of the quality he's got in front of him.
Right.
So it also makes a difference to have this kind of performance against this kind of quality.
A good counter right by Broner. Occasionally he will come up with a very good counter punch, but not
another right hand by Broner.
Nothing follows it up, nothing consistent enough.
Right hand to the body by Garcia.
Mikey was consistent constantly. And that's been the difference in the fight, really.
Now from this range, who do you give the advantage to when they're fighting in close like this?
I like the decision Broner's making. This is what I was talking about before. This is the decision he has to make. Yeah, it's a risk. You may risk getting knocked out, but it's the risk he has to take. It's the chance he has to take.
He has to be, I put in the keys, be more physical. He's got to be more physical with Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, Al, he's a physically bigger guy.
Exactly.
Maybe that can change things.
We look at the number of punches landed, and this is important because this is a round-by-round comparison in boxing. You win it round by round, and clearly, according to show stats, in each round, and round one, as Steve pointed out, was the close round, and then at that point, Mikey Garcia started building up these edges, and of course, even with, you know, how you view it, that's a good performance by Mikey Garcia.
Yes, sir. Okay, rip the body and keep throwing combinations. You just hold him right there to the body. Let's go. Come on, man. You the stronger puncher. You letting him put them punch shots. You understand? Let's go. Start doing it. Right now.
Run your combinations off behind you.
Let's go, man.
Tongue lashing from Mike Stafford.
29-year-old Mikey Garcia had his first amateur fight at the age of 14. His unpaid career included a win over former two-division champion Danny Garcia. Garcia was appointed by the man considered to be the current top dog at 140, Terrence Crawford. And of course, Garcia with sights set on maybe even going all the way up to 147. But right now, it's all about getting past Adrien Broner and
And after that tongue lashing from Stafford, Broner moving forward, they understand that, of course, we don't know how this fight's being scored, but we can only imagine.
Well, that's how it's unofficially being scored by our Steve Farhood.
Exactly. We can only imagine. We think Broner is behind it.
Counter right hand by Broner.
That's the once-in-a-while shot that he'll land. Now he's got to be first after that. He's got to be the first after that and take advantage of the moment.
He's first with the right.
And remember, the more he attacks, Mike Garcia is a very good counterpuncher, too. That's how he made his bones in this sport.
Great point out. Mike will prevent you from wanting to be first, and that's why Broner's not first so much.
Broner with a history of finishing strong, regardless of where he is on the perceived scorecards.
Yes.
When it's tactical like this, when it's counterpuncher to counterpuncher here, you try to set a trap by putting something out there to make the guy counter it so you can counter his counter. And it becomes a very tactical fight.
Yeah, well, not all of Garcia's punches are getting through. He is by far the busier of the two fighters here in round 9. Slips a left hook behind the guard of Adrien Broner.
Broner's right hand is starting to land a little bit more often, which is good news for him, but he's going to have to hurt him with one of those.
You see the jab by Mikey right there. He got himself out of a bad position against the ropes. Maybe he didn't land a lot of them, but what it did was allow him to circle his way back to the center ring.
Under a minute left in the 9th. Jab from Broner. Lead left hook and then a jab through the guard by Garcia.
As a ring technician, there is very little to ever criticize about Garcia.
Grew up in a fighting family. His father trained Fernando Vargas. His brother a former champion. Now well-known trainer. Now Broner shoot shining with the body just below the belt.
Two low blows by
Broner. Right hand by Broner.
He's got to be first right after that moment right there, because that's a moment you can grab. Instead, who's first? Mikey. Right back on it, being consistent.
1-2 through the guard by Garcia. Effective, and another combination lands for Mikey Garcia. It could very well be one-way traffic for Mikey Garcia as Broner fights back in the final seconds of round 9.
Let's breathe. Let's breathe. Let's go. The next 3 rounds have to be your rounds. He knows he needs those rounds, so you got to win them. You need to be busy. Be busy. Just be busy. Hit first. Go first.
Adrien Broner switched his attack downstairs in the last round. Some were legal, some were not, but I do think it had an impact on Mikey Garcia. Broner going downstairs. There's a good legal one. There's one that's questionable. And Broner has power in his left hook to both the body and the head. And I think some of that body work was certainly annoying to Garcia.
And look at the physicality of Broner there. You know what I mean? He's pushing Mikey around. I feel like that's what he's got to do more of. He's the guy who's natural at this weight.
And I think he won that last round, Broner.
Round 10. Mikey Garcia told us that Broner has problems when fighters attack him, that he's seen Broner's have problems with anybody just throws punches at him, and well, we've seen Garcia go down that road. It's all about ring IQ for Mikey Garcia.
I mean, we're in round number 10, and Broner's thrown 291 punches. That is not a lot. Garcia's thrown about 500. You know, that's just not enough punches if you're not going to knock somebody down or knock them out to win the fight.
Broner, one of 16 fighters to have won 4 titles.
Training AB.
And he's the popular fighter here in Brooklyn. He's the second youngest, by the way, to do so at 26 to become a 4-division champ. The youngest was Oscar De La Hoya at 24. Broner trying to move forward now with the jab and feinting, lands a jab on Garcia. And our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood, finally giving a round to Adrien Broner in the 9th.
You know, Broner's defended the right hand of Garcia better than I've seen him do in other fights. He blocks those punches more, but the problem problem
an uptick in punch output.
The problem is so many other good things have happened for Garcia.
Nice body shot by Garcia, mixing up his attack again. Lead left hook through the guard, and then a jab, another jab by Garcia using his pivots and his footwork.
Look at the angles.
The angles keeping Broner flustered.
And look how well he fights on the back foot. You know, the thing about Mikey, he's not your conventional type of Mexican-style fighter who's coming forward with a big, heavy hands and body shots.
Well, his chin was just tested by that left hook from Broner.
That's the power punch for Broner, and he's going to look for that in these last couple rounds.
And the right hand scores for Broner.
I like what Broner's doing, though. He's going for it at least.
Yes.
A nice counter right hand by Garcia. So as expected, this fight percolated and now heating up down the stretch here. 43 seconds left in the 10th.
Being fought in an exciting and skillful manner right now.
Now Garcia coming forward. Broner doing a good job of bobbing and weaving, slipping those punches. We haven't seen a lot of the clinch. We haven't seen a lot of in the trenches warfare.
I'll tell you what, Mikey's got great footwork. You know, he wants to keep a certain distance. He's not running you when he's going backwards, but he wants to keep that distance where he can leverage his shots.
Good round of action here in round 10.
Adrien Broner lands a nice short left hook on the inside. I believe more of his power is in the left hook than the right hand. And here's where Broner was really trying to make something happen. He did land a nice straight right hand. And as Paulie pointed out, trying to walk Garcia down, get physical on the inside. And this is the way he needed to start fighting, though Garcia is still counterpunching well, as you see there.
Because that's what you got to do. Come on. You need to at least hurt this motherfucker.
Man, come on, man. Let's go, man. Come on. You got to rip, man. Let's go, man. Come on. Come on, man. Let's go, Blue.
Round number 11. And Adrien Broner, the decided underdog for the first time in his career, still hoping to have his day and his way with the previously undefeated Garcia, but it comes down to the final 6 minutes, at least according to our unofficial scorer, Steve Farhood.
And you know, Garcia's only been 12 rounds. One time he won that fight. Broner is 4-2 in 12 rounds fight, so he's been there more often, and we have, as we pointed out, we've seen power late from Broner in fights. See if that could be there tonight. Garcia threw 91 punches in round 10, so he doesn't seem like a man that's getting tired.
There are those that compare, and again, I'm one of those guys, I'd rather you be the first you than the next anyone else, but some pundits and experts have compared Mikey Garcia to the great Alexis Arguello. Do you see the comparison?
Well, they don't fight the same way, but they're both very workmanlike, great technique fighters who carry themselves well for the sport. So in that sense, yes, they are similar.
And of course, Arguello, known for that rivalry with the late great Aaron Pryor from Broner's hometown of Cincinnati, who also had a tumultuous life, but here with a minute and a half now remaining in the 11th.
I think that one of the most important things in this fight has been the body work by Garcia. It's been very important.
Yeah, he's varied the offense very well.
There has to be a sense of urgency from Adrien Broner, and yet still on that back foot, blocking the punches of Garcia, but not firing in return.
Adrien Broner not getting an awful lot of shots this round. Mike, even on the back foot, can box very well and is able to punch.
Final 60 seconds of the 11th round scheduled for 12. Garcia scores again with that two-punch combination. And he's just been the busier fighter, using the angles, the footwork, mixing up his attack, especially here in round 11 with 45 seconds left.
And Paulie, you made this point a long time ago about Broner. When you punch at him, he stops his offense.
Yep.
And that's what Garcia's done.
And that's what Garcia told us he would try to exploit.
Mikey leaking out of his nose, but staying more consistent than Broner.
Yeah, way more.
Leaking blood out of that nose. It's undeterred.
Right hand gets through the guard of Adrien Broner. Broner with that cuffing right. Body shot again by Garcia. The 12th and final round at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It's right now. Yeah, what a flurry by Broner.
He only wants to steal the round. See who wants to steal the round. There's one more round. There's one more round left. Keep intelligent. Don't commit any errors here. Don't give him this round. This round coming up, don't give it to him. You understand? 1, 2, 3, and keep going.
Just over 12,000 in attendance here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The two touch gloves, the bell, and the 12th and final round between Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia. Garcia, the lightweight champion, moving up in weight. Broner, a 4-division champion, moving back down to 140.
And in a round that Broner really needed, he only threw 29 punches, landed 7 according to show stats, while Garcia threw 83 punches.
And Paulie, I ask again, where is the sense of urgency for Adrien Broner?
Oh, we need to see it here, man. He's got these last 3 minutes. Good right hand by Broner. I tell you, those are the kind of shots that have probably busted up Mikey's nose, but he needs to be more consistent with those. He needs a knockout at this point. He will go for it. I mean, I feel he does. He got a knockdown around 12 against Porter when he was behind, so he's coming forward here, but it's all or nothing here in round 12 for Adrien Broner.
Al, you called this the best performance of Mikey Garcia's career. What has impressed you the most?
Oh, everything. His technique has been perfect. He has altered. He does not a body puncher. Doesn't like to do it a lot.
There it is again.
He has thrown so many in this fight, so he has adapted to everything.
And an effective jab, making life uncomfortable for Adrien Broner, who's just shelling up with a peekaboo guard, and that guard is leaky. Mikey Garcia throwing the majority of the punches here in the 12th and final round.
You know what it is, man? He's got the fundamentals of a proper boxer.
Nice body work though by Broner, and a right hand and a left hook from Adrien Broner. And Garcia firing back.
Wow. Excitement in the last round. Fundamentals of a proper boxer, but he's got the angles and the creativity of one of these athletic boxers. You know, good balance of styles from Mikey Garcia.
It's all about clean, effective punching, and we have seen a plethora of those from Mikey Garcia tonight as we arrive at the final minute of this fight. Blood trickling out of the nose of Mikey Garcia.
That nose is bothering him. He dabbed at it, but something's dramatic's gonna have to happen here in this last round.
Battering away at the body. But Adrien Broner 40 seconds away from potentially becoming a cautionary tale. Yes, 4-division champion, the second youngest ever. But has been inconsistent, and now here in what is supposed to be a career-defining fight has been in tough against Mikey Garcia. The 12,000 fans in attendance roaring their approval. What a performance for Mikey Garcia, and yet the heart of Adrien Broner on display.
Two quality fighters, man.
The body language of these fighters demonstrates who thought they won and who did not think they won. Now, we don't know what the judges are thinking, but we have to assume that Mikey Garcia has won this decision.
You're giving judges too much benefit of the doubt, Al.
I was glad you said it.
I'm trying to be cautionary, but still. 3 very experienced judges judging this fight. And you look at the number, we talked about the volumes, 783 for Garcia, much more than he normally throws in a fight, and Broner down there at 400. And of course, you know, it's about what you land, but look at what he threw in the last round, 115 punches, and for a fighter who's only been 12 rounds once.
And conversely, look how many punches Broner threw when he needed it most, Paulie.
Yeah.
You know, that's an impressive display by Mikey Garcia. And for Adrien Broner, it's a difficult evening.
Mikey Garcia wants nothing but the biggest challenges he can get. He answered this one, and look at the stats. Back that up.
And the intriguing thing is, you know, that it isn't that Garcia landed at some monstrous percentage, 31% according to show stats, but it's more than enough when you throw 783 punches and the power punches, which is anything but a jab, at 48%, which is extraordinary, and mostly because of all those body punches he landed.
All right, it's time to find out the winner. And let's go to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. We have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Eric Marlinski scores about 117 to 111. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Don Ackerman scores about 116 to 112. All 3 in favor of the winner, and still undefeated,